Here's another episode of Me and My Friends podcast, The Black Man Perspective. We have some great topics for you today and some great guests. You can go introduce yourself, James.
Hello, this is James from Fort Myers, calling to have a good podcast, and can't wait to get started.
David, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's going on? David from Northern Virginia, calling in and ready to do the podcast.
All right, last week, Chris Bosh failed another physical for the Miami Heat. Pat Riley came out and said he would not play for the Miami Heat anymore. Chris Bosh is determined to get back on the court. Many NBA analysts and people who are coaches and players and owners think that he shouldn't play, but Chris Bosh said he will play again. Do you think he will play again, and do you feel like he should be able to play again? It's such a touchy subject. David, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. This is, to me, a very interesting topic because I think about Chris Bosh, and I guess he's got these blood clots that are like a danger for him to play. And the big concern is that he'll be playing and that he could die on the court. And, of course, that'll be, from a public relations standpoint, catastrophic for the NBA. I believe college basketball had a big famous case where a guy who was from Philadelphia, ironically, he died on the court. Is his name Hank Gathers?
Yeah.
I think it's Hank Gathers, and I think both him and Bo Kimball were both from Philly, and they're playing for Loyola, and I think he wasn't taking his proper medication or whatnot, and he dies on the court. And it's kind of crazy because one of the people on the court at the time, the team he was playing against, was Eric Spoelstra, the Heat's head coach. He was actually playing in the game when this guy dies on the court of college basketball. So Miami Heat, to me, there's no way that he's stepping on the court for them. Yeah, in my opinion, I think from the NBA standpoint, he'll probably blackball and he'll never play again. I mean, he's got 2 titles, played 12 years, got like 9 All-Star games, the Hall of Famer. I heard he's got millions in the bank already, like net worth. So I honestly think he is done, and I think it's probably the right move for the NBA. What do you think, James?
I think Chris Bosh, who's 32 right now, like you said, he's been playing for 12 years in the Hall of Famer. He'd take his big dumb self back to Miami and enjoy his beautiful wife and his kids. He's already doing commercials. He has a public relations person that got him in these commercials and these endorsements, and he should sit back and enjoy it. But I know how athletes are. Athletes, they want to continue to be athletes at all costs. That's just the nature of being an athlete, of just being competitive. And sometimes that's a gift and a curse. And at this point, I think he's tiptoeing on the line of being a curse. Now, from an owner's aspect, they're looking at him as being a liability, as they should, because no one wants to see their players hurt or anything happen to them, especially a player like Chris Bosh. So I just think that he should take his money, his big, beautiful wife, and relax.
Yeah, I agree with that, but here's the thing that I'm worried about, right? NBA is a business, so you're going to have an owner that says, listen, I don't care about all that. I want to sell jerseys. I want to put seats, put people in the stands. I want to make money. So there's going to be an owner who looks at Chris Bosh and says, we're just going to make this work. It's probably not going to be a prominent team. It may be like a low-level team.
Sacramento Kings.
The Kings, the Suns. It wouldn't be the the 76ers, even though they have issues, but they have a lot of young gunners out there. But it's going to be like a low-level team. It could be the Bucks. But what you don't want that to happen is I think the league needs to, the guys like Adam Silver and the Players Association need to sit down and talk to him. Because he has $70 million guaranteed contract, right? So the money's not the issue. His passion is the issue. And they need to make a position that says, listen, you have an issue. We can help you when because a lot of stuff is the players just want to be close to the game. They want to be close to the guys. They want to be in the atmosphere, right? So if he needs to just switch over, do the Chris Webber route, do the commentating. If he needs to, be a coach or something. Well, I'm just, giving him options. There's things he can do to still get his NBA fix.
I like that coaching option. He can be like a Juwan Howard.
Yeah, there's so many things he can do and still be close to the guys, close to the atmosphere. Because a lot of it's the camaraderie of being on a team, of being on a brotherhood, being in a group, working towards a ultimate goal, whether it's championship or playoffs or so many wins or whatever. So a lot of it is that. Also, Pat Riley, at the end of the day, I feel like Pat Riley's a personal guy. Like, he loves his players. Like, he loves them like they're his kids. So he wouldn't put them in a position to injure yourself. Pat Riley could have literally cut this man 2 years ago. Pat Riley's been losing money for 2 years. He was out most of the season 2 years ago. His season was cut short last season. He still said, come back, see what you can do, see what you can do, see what you can do. He could have cut him years ago. He didn't do it. He could have traded him years ago, before this whole situation happened. So that's the only thing I'm worried about, like a team that says, listen, we just want to sell jerseys. We don't care about all that. Because there's always owners that say, listen, I'm not going nowhere. I'm the Phoenix Suns. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not getting a big-time player. I'm not getting nobody. So I need to have a big name and put some, some fans in the seats. So that's my biggest issue. I hope he makes a good decision for his kids and his wife. But also, I don't know if he's going to be able to make that decision if someone says, listen, you got to guarantee money and just come play with us. Someone's going to give him that offer. I believe that. So that was interesting. But yeah, the guy's name is Hank Gathers. The lawsuit issue. So Hank Gathers' family sued the school he was playing for $32 million, and they end up only getting about $2 million. This is a different time, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. So just imagine this happening now. This happened in 1990. So just imagine this happening now. His family, if something was to happen, God forbid, to Chris Bosh, they can get, they already owe him $70 million. They can get $1 billion, $500 million. You never know. So I just think it was smart for Pat Riley to come out and make a statement like that. But I think the most important thing is the league needs to make a statement. It says, we do not want this guy. Let's give him a position. Because if you give him a position, that means he can't go to, play overseas. And, a lot of these guys run overseas when the NBA says no. Look at Stephon Marbury. Look at those guys like that.
Should Adam Silver ban him or make a rule so that, if you don't pass a certain, medical credential, you can't play in the NBA?
So every physical thing is different, right? So I think every team is different, right? So because they're different, there's different doctors, there's different, things that go into play with someone's different scheme or whatever. So you can't just paint a broad stroke, right? And also every player is different. What we ask Chris Bosh to do physically, we might not ask Dwayne Wade to do physically. What we ask LeBron James to do physically, we may not ask Stephen Curry to do. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think they should make a broad stroke and say, I think Adam Silver needs to sit down with him. No.
I don't think it should be Adam Silver's decision. I think it should be the Players Association decision, because you can't have, the league ruling on this. This has to be a player thing. The league is just there to set rules in place, But if you're part of a player association that looks out for your well-being, and that's just what they're there for. You know, they had to come into play too.
Only reason there was a guy, it was a draft pick, and he had a similar situation, and he couldn't be drafted, and they, drafted him last in the draft, and they made a position similar to this for him. Adam Silver was like, hey, we're gonna, make sure you're close to the game and stuff like that. They drafted him last, and he had a heart situation, he couldn't play. I just think reason I say Adam Silver is because the Players Association is supposed to protect the players, but most importantly, support the player's decision. So if Chris Bosh said he wants to play, all they have to do, their whole job is to make sure he gets a fair treatment. That's the only thing they're supposed to do. Make sure every physical is fair, and they don't go into the doctors, don't go into the teams, don't go into it. We already know we're going to say no, so let's see if we can do what it don't even matter. We already know we're going to say no. I think Pat Riley and those guys already knew they said he was going to say no because if his personal doctors and the independent doctors already say he can play, and the only people is the doctors for the Miami Heat, that's kind of sketchy, right? Personal doctors, I can understand him writing off, but independent doctors saying he's good, he don't have a leverage in that. So I just think the Players Association, all they're going to do is support him, his thoughts and his desires. They're not going to be able to talk to him and say you shouldn't do this. I think Adam Silver needs to step in because Adam Silver is going to be the one responsible if something happens to him. Because if he doesn't step in. But that's just my opinion. That was a good conversation. Moving on to the great Jets. The Jets were mocked again. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 more picks. 1 was tipped though. He threw 2 to Richard Sherman, who I've been trying to say people this for years. Richard Sherman is a great cover cornerback, but he can't catch. Apparently this season he can catch. He literally caught 2 interceptions the last 2-3 drives for the Jets. Is it time for Geno Smith? I mean, what's going on? You pay this guy, Geno Smith. He was going to start last season until he got punched in the face. He got punched in the face. Ryan Fitzpatrick plays great. He doesn't get his job back. This year, they paid Ryan Fitzpatrick $12 million, and now he's trash. Do you think we'll see Geno soon? They play Pittsburgh. I don't think they're winning. They play Pittsburgh Sunday. They got a tough schedule. I mean, it's time for Geno. James, how do you feel?
JOKE, 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 joke. Geno Smith is a joke. He can't throw. Geno Smith can't read defenses, schemes. He's really bad at that. All Geno Smith can do is improvise. He is a slower version of Michael Vick. That's it. With no coaching. I mean, the Jets, they need a franchise quarterback. They don't have one. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a great backup. I think that he's having it, or he's just having an off year. It could be because last year he played decent.
Right.
He wasn't great, but he was decent. He was better than Mark Sanchez, but that's not hard to beat.
Right.
So I don't even remember the Jets having a franchise quarterback. Since forever.
Vinny Testaverde, I got you.
Yeah, Vinny Testaverde. Back in what? 89? No, I'm sorry. 96 was Vinny Testaverde.
To me, Vinny Testaverde was the best thing they had in a long time.
Okay. And that's saying something because Vinny Testaverde,
he was not 50 years old right now.
He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not. So the Jets, better just try to go back in that, back to the future time machine and get Johnny Unitas. I mean, not Johnny Unitas, but what's his name? Joe
Namath.
Joe Namath.
Y'all
need to get Joe Namath back. At least y'all have a great running back now with Matt Forte.
You're obsessed with Matt.
Eric Decker going down killed y'all because Brandon Marshall, he's going to get hurt within the next 2 weeks. I can say that right now. And it's an African kid that y'all got, Iwe or Iwu.
he's big though. Like
He's big, but the boy can't catch. He drops the ball all the time.
Yeah, if they use him properly
all the time. Your defense, everything is good, but the secondary. You know, I love your defensive line. Defensive line gets the quarterback, rushes the quarterback good, but can they stay healthy? Secondary is trash and old.
Yeah. David, how you feel?
Yeah. So my first thoughts are: will we see Geno Smith this year? Probably so. It's probably based on either poor play or injury by I call him Fitzmagic. And yeah, I honestly think that he's still the same guy. It's just that I think not having a full training camp hurt him. So I think he definitely started off slow, and then they played some tough teams. But some people would say this is classic. Fitzpatrick, that's what we did in Buffalo. He gave him one good year or one good stint, and then he was terrible for like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, I remember.
So, I mean, yeah. You said what?
I remember.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I'll probably agree with that. He's probably a really good backup and a fringe starter, but, he's not a franchise quarterback. I also heard you guys say the Jets haven't had a franchise quarterback in a while. You guys mentioned Vinny Testaverde. I don't even think Vinny Testaverde was a franchise quarterback. That's someone they got late in his career. Like Vinny Testaverde spent most of his career, I think, in Tampa Bay, and then I think he did some time in Dallas, and maybe Parcells brought him in. Yep. So he was just kind of like an old vet that played a couple good years there, but yeah, they haven't really had a true franchise quarterback since Joe Namath. So yeah, it's one of those teams that just struggle to get like a QB. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Geno Smith's the answer. I mean, if he was, he would have already beat out Fitzpatrick. Yeah, that team, I love their defense. I like Todd Bowles.
I like Todd
Bowles. But, I think they, like a lot of teams, can't figure out the quarterback position. Yeah, I'm not sure what they do about it, but, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing, difficult place to be if you're them. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the Jets. I mean, Tom Brady's probably getting close to the end of his career, so they may have a shot in the future to, try to reemerge and take over that division with Brady gone. But, in the near future, it's Belichick and Brady on that division, unfortunately. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I just think you pay a guy $12 million, right? You give him 4 games. Yeah. Say you give him 5 games. I would still let him play the Pittsburgh game because that's a tough. You don't want anybody their first game to be against Pittsburgh, right? But going forward, I would definitely give Geno a shot, right? Because you know what you're getting out of this $12 million guy. You don't know what you're getting out of Geno, and sometimes you don't need to you don't have to say the guy is better. Sometimes you just need a spark. Look at last season what Denver Broncos did. Osweiler wasn't causing them to lose games. They just weren't playing good collectively as a team. So they went back to Peyton. Peyton was doing the same sorry numbers and lofting the ball up like he was doing before. But the team played harder when he was on the helm. It's because they looked at him as like, he's a champion. He's a legend. So they were able to come around him and say, listen, we're going to play harder because of this guy for whatever reason. And I don't know if the team, cause I think eventually they're going to look at Ryan and say he's not the guy for us. Say Geno comes in and does decent. He don't even have to do great. You just have to not turn over the ball. That's it. The Jets' defense is solid enough. The running game is solid enough to just not turn over the ball. Just that's simple. If you just don't turn over the ball, they'll be in the game. You don't have to win the game. Just don't turn the ball over. Look at these young gunners, Dak Prescott, the dude from Philadelphia. They're showing you, look at Russell Wilson, they're showing you, if we just don't turn over the ball, our guys can be in this game every game and we can have a chance to win at the end. That's all you want to do is give a chance. I think the team
it's not as easy. It's not as easy as don't turn over the ball. You have to be able to to have a offensive scheme that doesn't allow you to turn over the ball. If you take Dak Prescott and put him in Doug Peterson's system, guess what? He's going to turn over the ball because that's not the kind of quarterback he is. He's a different type of quarterback.
Geno's a running quarterback. His issue is like he was fumbling before and he was always hurt. So if he can, obviously learn how to get down, go out of bounds, use the sideline as your friend, stuff like that. And like I said, those wide receivers are huge. That freaking tight end or whatever he is huge. Brandon Marshall is huge. So that's and they get separation. So they don't have to Brandon Marshall is a beast. Brandon Marshall not nice.
Brandon Marshall has the ability to take over games, but does he use that ability? No.
If your quarterback is Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't think he could. Now, here's another thing. This is what they can do, right? You ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Tony Romo is going to be free in a couple of weeks. He's like, I'm telling you, the end of the season, he's not getting his job back, man. And they owe that man like $20 million, man. They're not. Jerry Jones would be stupid.
Offensive coordinator. Who's just an offensive coordinator?
I don't know. They would be stupid not to trade for him. But this would be
Shane Gailey. Shane Gailey is a Jets offensive coordinator.
Oh, he's trash. He was in Buffalo before too. He's trash.
Exactly. He is one of the worst offensive coordinators in the league because he still plays the old plays from like 1992.
Yeah, he's trash.
You need to get rid of the coordinator. It's not the quarterback. It's the coordinator.
This is why I say this Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? So when you have these big wide receivers, you can't tell me, like, the balls he be throwing, they nowhere near these guys. Nowhere near these guys. It don't like be right there and they be getting cracked. It be nowhere near these guys. I'd be like, what is Ryan seeing that I don't see? But,
because he's running the plays he's supposed to run from the coordinators. And when he throws it up there, he just can't make these type of throws. You need to get a coordinator to match these old plays. But the defensive scheme is so well can be played a certain way where it doesn't even matter. You could be 6'9" getting up there, and you wouldn't be able to do anything because your plays are whack.
Yeah, I forgot that's an offense coordinator. He's trash.
I thought you made a great point with the whole Geno being like 10 pick, and the Jets probably want to play him to see, if they can, at all salvage this top 10 pick and find a player out of him. I think maybe that reason alone, he'll definitely play this year. So I thought that was a great point.
I feel like if you have something that's not working, change it. Change it when you can. And you have to look. Everybody's like, Tom Brady. Tom Brady hasn't played a snap in weeks. They play the Browns, so they're obviously going to get an easy win then. But you got to look. I wouldn't trust the Patriots because if Tom Brady get nicked, all three of their quarterbacks are still hurt. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is more hurt than what they're saying because a shoulder thing is not a one-a-week thing. And we already seen Brissett. That man would not even grip the ball against the Bills. Not even grip the ball. Mm-hmm. He had an opportunity to get a first down. He was running for it. He was so scared, so hurt, whatever. He would not even cover up the ball. It's in his hand. He literally fumbled, and then he got cracked. Like, I watched that whole game, and you could physically see, and, the Bills are crazy because the restaurant's crazy. They were, like, trying to beat up on him. They were picking on him before the game, pushing him, shoving him, making sure, like, oh, your thumb is hurt? We're going to make it hurt worse. Like, they were doing things to really try to hurt him more. He cannot grip the ball, so I wouldn't be sold on the Patriots. Tom Brady is probably not going to get seriously injured, but if he get nicked, and this whole concussion thing is serious, you get anything happen. Concussion. You could be out 2 weeks just trying to pass a concussion test. So, I
hope they don't play the Rams because they had Hunt.
Yeah, but this concussion thing, like a lot of guys are out just for that. Like it takes 2 weeks just to come back, or a week and a half and then it depends on when you play. Carson Palmer's in concussion mode now. He play tomorrow, so it's just freaky. Anyway, so I watched Monday Night Football. I was like, I'm gonna stay up and see if the Giants can do what they got to do to at least salvage something with this season, because the first 2 games were decent, good. Then they played a crazy game against Washington, and then they laid an egg against the Vikings. So it's a 2-part question. The part 1 is, are the Vikings for real? They had 2 injuries. Obviously, AP is out. Teddy is out. Do you think the Vikings can compete for a championship with that defense and Sam Bradford?
Dave, I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. Unfortunately, the answer is yes. I think the Vikings defense is legit. I absolutely hate Sam Bradford. But this is probably the best situation for him. I still ultimately think that he can't win you 3 playoff games. I don't think he can win you 2 playoff games. Even with that defense, I'm just not a believer in him. I think he's going to get hurt, or like he'll just crumble. To me, he's not a he doesn't have the it factor. Like, even though Peyton Manning was old, he still had the it factor.
Right.
To survive playoff games and a whole regular season. So I definitely think they're a playoff team. They're a force, but I think, depending on Sam Bradford, no. I mean, I just can't go. I can't go there. Not after what the stuff I saw him pull in Philadelphia. No, I mean that's a no-go for me. What do you think, James?
I think Sam Bradford's a Chip Kelly guy. I think that the Vikings are for real as a team right now. I think that Sam Bradford has been playing excellent ball as far as going through his progressions. He has a very high quarterback rating right now, one of the best in the NFL. He hasn't turned over the ball. I think he may have 1 interception.
He has 0.
0, yeah. So there you go. He is he's not carving up defenses, but he's placing the ball well enough to get ahead, and he's letting Diggs be Diggs offensively. Defensively, goes without speaking, Vikings have one of the best defense in the league, if not the best defense in the league. Arguably, Philadelphia could be also number 1 defense, but that remains to be seen. It's still early in the season to, crown champion, but I would say the Vikings. You can make a strong argument for both teams: Eagles, Vikings, also the Broncos as well. So I believe that the Vikings are a playoff team, and I think they will go to probably the 3rd round in the playoffs and lose to the Eagles.
This guy.
So that's my predictions. It's always been my prediction that the Eagles will be in the Super Bowl, and we will. I mean, I know this topic is about the Vikings, but I have to throw the Eagles in there because they are a very comparable team to the Vikings.
Right. You're good.
Also, I like Sam Bradford's weapons around him. Even though they don't have a strong running game, they make it work for what they have. They have to go running back by committee now. With Asiata, with the power, with McCain's or whatever his name is, with the speed, and another rookie they have, he has a mixture of speed and power. I like their mixture and the way they mix it up. The offensive coordinator is still Brad, right, David?
No, the offensive coordinator is North Turner.
North Turner.
Oh,
So
God.
North Turner is used to having a multiple back, lineup ever since he was here there in Washington, and it's very quarterback friendly, like he did with RG3. If RG3 can run North Turner's offense and be successful, anybody can.
You're disrespectful, man.
Yeah.
I like RG3. Okay, so here's my opinion on that. I think the Vikings are great. I think they'll be okay. I think you brought up the point that I was going to make. Running back by committee works if you're trying to win games. Running back by committee does not work when you're trying to win a championship. You need one main guy. You look at the Seattle Seahawks, they had Marshawn Lynch. They had a decent backup, but they had Marshawn Lynch. Denver won it, but they had one main guy. You have to have one main guy to say, this is my guy when I need 3 yards. This is my guy when I need a 5-yard catch out the backfield in the flat. This is my guy when I need a block. Because you can't keep going 1 guy, 2 guy, 3 guy, 4 guy. It's crazy. I think it's going to work right now, but I don't think AP's coming back the rest of the season. And their running game is not great. They're not even getting decent numbers. I think over time it will get better, but I don't think they need to. Obviously, we have so many games left. One guy needs to emerge as the premier back for that team, as Adrian Peterson's replacement. Not that he can replace Adrian Peterson in the sense of skill, but this is the main guy who's going to get us 80 yards, 90 yards, 100 yards a game. The other guys can get you 20 or 30, but this guy's going to get us 80 yards every game. This guy's going to get 15 touches.
I disagree with that.
Who's the guy?
The Patriots, they won by running back committee. The Giants won by running back by committee. The Packers won by running back by committee. It does work.
The Packers have had a main guy, Starks, and then they had whatever the African guy named the last time they went to the Super Bowl.
They had Ryan Grant. It was their starting guy, and he mixed it up with James Starks.
And they kept Starks because the playoff Starks were doing good. Ryan Grant was trash.
But they kept playing.
Here's the thing with the Patriots. The Patriots aren't really a running team, right? They run it when they need to run it. So I've never really taken the running game from the Patriots serious because they do a lot of short passes, which kind of represents their running game. So I agree with you in the sense of that, but I watched the Patriots enough to know they could not run the ball the whole game and don't care because they'll run so many short passes within the flat and so many screens and stuff that would be their running game. And they would still be able to pass the ball deep and play action fakes because that's their running game. They don't necessarily have to run the ball. That's the only team that's been able to do that, though. But to me, you just have to have a fair back. Whoever it is, don't have to be a big name guy. It just has to be a guy that can get you. Like, if we switch real quick to the Falcons, I think the Falcons are, they're winning games right now, right? But eventually that pass-happy crap's going to end. You can't pass the ball 40, 50 times a game and think you're going to win the game every single time. It just can't happen. You got to eventually be able to successfully run the ball. And keep in mind, these games, when it's getting close, you want to run the ball to take the time out the clock. You can't pass the ball every down. And then I don't know if I want Sam Bradford being the guy to pass the ball 40 times, 50 times.
Can I explain my sports hate for Sam Bradford? Because that still pisses me off. Like, I don't know the guy. Like, I'm sure he's perfectly fine. But I have serious sports hate for Sam Bradford this year. It may only last this year. But my beef with him is this guy goes to Oklahoma, and he doesn't really – I don't think he wins a championship. I got to double check. But you're playing with a big offensive line. You got Adrian Peterson in the backfield. You got receivers running wide open, and you just throw it to him. I mean, he has – to me, and then he got hurt in college. And you get drafted #1 overall. You get $50 million guaranteed. For basically, being, not like really doing anything, but like just having a more gifted team than everybody. And then go to St. Louis, and you don't really do that much. You're #1 overall. You get hurt left and right. You don't earn your keep. And then for some reason, Chip Kelly trades like a second and a fourth here for this guy, and then he stinks it up, in my opinion, for the first 7 games. Yeah. He plays mediocre for the 9 more, and then the Eagles, for some reason, the owner, wants to keep busting his teeth, pays this guy $36 million for 2 years, and I'm like, he has done nothing, in my opinion, to earn this money. He's got 2 big deals, and I have yet to see him, like, get his team into the playoffs, get his team more than 8 wins. I'm sitting there like, what is going on? And then the Eagles realize this. They trade up, to get Wentz, and he says, I demand to be traded. You demand to be traded? You haven't done anything. So, ever since all this had just created all this sports hate for me for Sam Bradford, I thought the Eagles should never resign. I was like, get this guy out of here. Well, and I was like,
there's a lot of quarterbacks.
I root hard against Sam Bradford.
Yeah, there's a lot of quarterbacks getting overpaid. Ryan Tannehill makes over $100 million. So I agree with you that though. But the part two.
What's wrong with Ryan Tannehill?
Ryan Tannehill is trash. What do you mean what's wrong with Ryan Tannehill? Ryan Tannehill is trash. And it's not just Ryan Tannehill.
He's overpaid. I agree with that.
He's overpaid,
but he's not. He's overpaid, but he's not
Stafford,
trash.
Cutler,
$100 million.
Stafford, Cutler, Bradford, they're all overpaid.
$100 million. He's not worth $100 million.
No.
80,
I
70,
agree
90.
with that, but the quarterback's not trash. He's a legitimate starting quarterback. And so is Cutler. If Cutler has the right team around him, he's okay.
Jay Cutler is trash. This is
Cutler will drive you insane if he was in Philadelphia. You would hate Jay Cutler if he was in Philly. You would hate him, James. Trust me.
Right.
I'll watch Jay Cutler play. I know. But he needs the right team around him. He's not a trash quarterback.
I didn't say he was. I said you would hate him.
Here's my issue with Jay Cutler.
Yeah, I would.
When they kicked Tim Tebow out the league and said he was, he's so trash, stuff like that. There's 30-something teams in the league, right? 10 of those quarterbacks are trash. 10 of those quarterbacks. We can name 10 trash quarterbacks. Jay Cutler has had a starting job for the last, let's go with 7 years, and he's been sorry 7 years. How can they kick Tim Tebow out the league over this? And Jay Cutler has a job. I didn't understand that. I don't understand that.
I didn't understand it either.
How do you, they literally had teams say, this man can't throw in practice. He can't throw in the game. He had a winning record. He won the games in the fourth quarter. He played harder than most of the quarterbacks. He stayed on the field. He encouraged
You have
guys.
to be Tim Tebow's agent. You have to represent Tim Tebow.
If
you represent Tim Tebow,
I 100% agree with Jarrell. Tebow got a raw deal. He got the rawest deal I've ever seen in my entire life. His last regular season game was
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he on Dick LeBeau defense. He threw 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. Realistically, he was in his first 16 games and he had already won a playoff game. I mean, he actually, for a young quarterback, he was doing well and getting better. But John Elway couldn't stand him.
Right.
So
John Elway wanted a real
They did him dirty.
His coach was Josh McDaniels, right?
Josh McDaniels drafted him.
You're right. And wasn't he with Josh McDaniels? Wasn't he with Josh McDaniels over in New England?
Yeah, they brought him in, but that was
exactly. Yeah. So if Josh McDaniels couldn't save him, the one who drafted him and believed in him, why should anybody else?
Well, that was
they had Brady there,
and they were trying to make him like a halfback, fullback, trick guy, like Wildcat stuff like that. That's stupid. If you're gonna bring a quarterback in and make him quarterback, make him quarterback. Now, if he said make me someone else, and if he took the Tyrell Pryor approach and said I want to be a wide receiver, tight end, that's one thing. But he said I want to be a quarterback. Why are you up there trying to play him at Wildcat? That's stupid. That's just dumb. You only go run Wildcat twice a game. What am I over here doing? That was just dumb. He got played. That's what I'm saying. So when people talk about Jay Cutler's all right, I'm like, Jay Cutler has been stealing jobs for years. That man should not. You would kick Tim Tebow out of the league, and Jay Cutler still got a job. Anyway, the part 2 I want to get to is y'all good friend Odell Beckham. I used to like Odell. Mm-hmm. He's too emotional for me though. Odell had another hissy fit on a Monday's game. Got unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. After the game, he said he felt like he's targeted. He can't do anything. He said he can't sneeze without getting a technical, a flag. Is he causing a problem that the Giants can't control? Obviously, we've had a lot of boisterous receivers before. Terrell Owens, the Randy Mosses of the world, stuff like that. Is he turning into a problem like that for the Giants?
Go ahead, Jen.
No, he's not. He's letting his true emotions take over, and he's being a typical young male. I think that, he does not yet have. He's a very competitive person. He is very hot-headed, but I think that he has a very strong receiving core around him, and he does not know how to handle not being the only superstar as a wide receiver, and it's frustrating for him. So he has to learn how to deal with his emotions. Now, I personally think that Odell Beckham Jr. is gay, and I'll tell you why. Before Odell Beckham Jr. has this, he has homosexual tendencies from stuff that he does.
How do we
how he dresses, the way he looks at other men, the way he touches other men. And I know this is off subject, but I think it all plays into effect of how his behavior is. Because if anyone, has ever researched, the quote unquote gay gene is what they call it. And this is not me. This is coming from other people because I have no problem with homosexuals. One of my friends is homosexual. But
you sound like you sound like a racist white guy who says, "Oh no, no, I have black
not at all, not at all. I wouldn't have a problem. Like I've played football with homosexual people. Yeah, I've never had a problem with it. But I just think that nature has come to light. His diva, nature has come to light. And to me, that doesn't mesh well with a grown man's sport. And that's just how I see it with Odell Beckham Jr. Now, is it causing the team to break down? No. I think the Giants was trash last year, and they're going to be trash this year. So that's just how I feel. David?
Okay.
So save us from that.
I don't see any of that towards the latter comment, but I will comment on, I guess, the original question, which is Odell Beckham Jr. Becoming a problem child for the New York Giants? And that is, unfortunately, clearly, yes. It goes back to that big episode last year with Game 15 with Josh Norman, and that whole basically he's probably Odell Beckham is one of the more talented players in the league,
right? And
he let Josh Norman bait him into acting a fool, and Josh Norman actually acted a fool himself. But what the issue is the league wants to make Odell Beckham Jr. an ambassador to the game. He's talented wide receiver. He's playing in New York, and he let some DB make him look like, a loose cannon, out of control, temper tantrum guy. And so he's at the point now where the cameras are focused on him, to see if he's going to lose his cool. And it started really this year, last week against Washington. We actually had a good game, but you could see him still jawing at Eli when, Eli threw that pick to lose the game. So that carried over this week, where the Minnesota cornerback, he starts talking trash to him, and Odell talks trash back, and the ref, gives him an unsportsmanlike penalty. To me, this is similar from, the actions he's done in week 2 and week 3 and week 4 actually aren't that bad, but when you combine it to what happened last year, I think both the Giants and the league are targeting him. He is right, I think, where he says they're targeting him because but the league has greater aspirations for him, and they want to snip this in the bud. So I do think he is responsible, and he is being targeted, and he has to handle this better because he's at the point now where it's sink or swim. He has to either put this behind him and play good football,
right,
and control his temper, and basically don't tolerate let anything get to you. Just play the game, or like he's going to keep throwing temper tantrums. He's going to be known as a problem child, like basically a Brandon Marshall type guy or a T.O. type guy, which is I don't think he wants. Basically a talented guy, but he can't keep his cool. So that's what I see going on. I basically his status in terms of commercials and his brand is what's being hurt right now. So I think he is in the process of sink or swim with his brand. So that's the big thing. I mean, you look at his hair, the yellow stuff. Obviously, this guy wants attention. He wants to be the center of the spotlight. So I think he's at a critical moment at this point, and he's got to figure things out. What do you think about Mr. Terrell?
Yeah, I agree with David. If you look at it, he's on a lot of commercials. He's on a lot of things about the NFL. The NFL does want to use him as a poster child, but here's the catch, right? The problem I have with Odell is he's giving people the blueprint to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Josh Norman give people the blueprint to defenses, to just push them around, yell at him, cuss him out. That's what the same thing the Vikings did. Push him out, hit him late, and he get up swinging. And we all know the refs don't see what the first person do. They only see the retaliation. That dude hit him late. The ref didn't see that. The ref seen what? You get up, swing at him, push him, hit him. That's all they see. You giving another team next week the blueprint to beat you. You got to be like, whatever. I get 10 catches, I get 3 catches. But it's not just him. Because I think he would be okay if Victor Cruz getting 100 yards. The other guy, Shepard or whatever his name is, getting 60 yards, 70 yards. But he understands he has to carry that team. For whatever reason, Victor Cruz only had one good game. He ain't doing nothing. The other guy, Shepard, ain't doing nothing. So I think for whatever reason, the offense has obviously issues. They have penalty issues. The offense line not great. Eli's not doing great this season. But I think he needs to take the pressure off his shoulders and say, listen, I just have to do my part. I can't worry about someone not doing their part. If he not catching his passes, he not getting open, that's on him. I got to do my part. Because, like you said, his brand, but most importantly, you don't want to give somebody the blueprint to beat you. He's giving every single defensive back, cornerback, safety the blueprint to beat him. That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing. And because the whole Terrell Owens situation, Terrell Owens would be not just mad on the field, he would be mad off the field, but even games where you would try to slow him down, he would still have 1 or 2 catches in a touchdown. 1 or 2 catches at a bomb, and you'd be like, wow, he has 2 catches, but one was 80 yards. He's getting shut down last game. Now, the game before that, he was fine, so I don't really get why he was mad. Obviously, Josh Norman was saying things and doing things to him, but you gotta let some stuff go. Just more worry about winning the game. And I felt like he felt like, I should have did more, I could have done more, which I think every time you lose a football game, you always feel that way. But he needs to just worry about them. Take the stuff off your shoulder, take the pressure off your shoulder. Who cares what people say about you? Who cares? I don't care. You should not care. You have to focus on you and your part, man. He has to, man, because we only week 4 into the season. He has a lot of more hard defenses to play. They haven't played Philly yet. They haven't played Dallas again. They got to play Washington again. They have some tough, just division games to play. We ain't even got
no defense.
Huh?
Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, all teams they got to play.
Right. I'm like, they have tough defenses to play. You think those guys? You think Pittsburgh is going to let up on you? I think Mike Tomlin would say something about his grandmama.
Pittsburgh does not. All right. So
Mike Tomlin is crazy. That's my guy. He literally walks in the game. I don't care.
You're naming these teams with good defense. Pittsburgh does not have a good defense. Their secondary is not good. Who's going to guard them?
I'm talking about giving somebody the blueprint. I'm not saying great defense.
Okay.
I'm saying giving someone a blueprint. He's not being stopped by defenses. He's getting stopped by people putting stuff in his head. You can't even name the quarterback for the Vikings. Who's the cornerback for the Vikings that was guarding him? Exactly.
Rhodes and Rhodes.
Okay. That's
David Rhodes.
I don't even know who that is. Like we own, and I really don't know who that is. I know the other guy that came from Dallas on the other side. What's his name?
Claiborne.
No.
Yeah.
Is it the safety? He used to play for Newman. He played for them.
Terrence Newman.
I know who that is only because he used to get roasted in Dallas all the time. That's the only reason I know who that is. But what reason I'm saying that he's making these people famous. I didn't know anything about Josh Norman until they got that huge brawl. Josh Norman was the reason. Really, Odell Beckham is the reason Josh Norman became so famous. Because people thought he was a system. People really thought Josh Norman was a system cornerback. Because the Panthers were so good, people thought it was a system because they really did a system thing. They ran a system. They didn't run the whole Richard Sherman thing. Richard Sherman can go either side, any side, guard anybody, slot guys on the outside. Josh Norman didn't do that. So they thought, he's just a product of his system. They had a great front seven. They get to the cornerback. You didn't really have an opportunity to throw a lot of passes against the Panthers. This is last year, not this year. So I think people thought, and then after that game, they're like, wow, he's really, really great. No one knew who Josh Norman was 2 years ago. That really blew them up. I think Odell needs to let that go. Whatever his hatred is between them two, they need to let it go. Because it's not helping either one of them. Either one of them. Josh Norman don't even have no commercials. So, but Odell has a look that people like. People like his commentary. He's funny, the dances, all that stuff. But you have to get your anger under control. Because, no disrespect, these white people ain't going to deal with you like that. They're going to deal with you for so far, and they're going to cut him. Like, he has so many commercials on TV. You go say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing in the field, and it's going to be over. Your financial, ladder is going to be over because of some stupid anger issue you have with these personal guys. These guys
He's 23.
Yeah, Terrell Owens got kicked out of many teams when he was young. All because of his attitude. All he had to do is change. Now, Terrell Owens is different because he had a lot of issues and he had so many different quarterbacks. I understand that because you really can't really get a rhythm when you got a different quarterback. Eli's not a bad quarterback. They just have a bad...
Yes, he is.
Eli's not a bad quarterback. I think this year, the issue is they have a lot of running... they had running back. Their main running back got hurt. Offensive line is trash. And they have so many penalties. And he don't help with the penalties because he had like a few... the last few weeks. I think Eli will be fine, but like you said earlier about someone else, Jay Cutler, he has to have the right situation. He has to have a great offensive line. They have to have fast wide receivers, which they do. And they have to get a running game. Once that running back got hurt, they ain't signed nobody. They got some scrubs now. Me and you run the running ball for them. Like their running game is trash.
Here's the point. How much does that locker room miss a Michael Strahan type guy right now?
I think they miss his leadership.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Like someone like that. Ray Luke was talking about this today with his conversation with Skip. He was like, "Does the Giants have anyone in the locker room who can go up to him and say, hey, look, man, chill out? Like, they don't have a Shannon Sharp, Ray Lewis type guy who can go in there and be like, look, man, chill."
And they got a young coach, a first-year coach that's probably going to try to keep his job. So, he can't really say too much. He did say his emotion. He's being too emotional or whatever. He ain't saying nothing crazy. But who I was thinking about the other day needs to help him is the Deion Sanders of the world. Those veterans need to call him up and say, listen, we need to talk to you. We need to do this. You need to do better. I don't think Terrell Owens is a great mentor, but it could be Terrell Owens. I know Chad Johnson is leveled off. So maybe someone like Chad Johnson, maybe Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin, those guys like that need to say, listen.
That's why you have a wide receivers coach. Somebody like a Greg Lewis that the Eagles have.
It's got to be someone you respect. A lot of these young guys respect these OGs in the game. It's got to be someone that you respect. I and who's been in your position before. Terrell Owens has been emotional on the sideline before. Jerry Rice, guys like that.
Somebody like Antoine Boda would have been a good sign for New York Giants. You know, someone who had those issues where he was known as the hot-tempered guy back when he was in Arizona, got in fights with Todd Haley. You know, he can pull aside and say, hey, look, man, I've been there. Like,
or even Andre
here's what
Johnson.
you need to do. Yeah, I mean, even though he's known as a quiet guy, but yeah, it's someone like that, a veteran who can just pull him aside and be like, hey, chill out.
You can never say Andre Johnson is quiet to me. Every time I hear Andre Johnson, I'm thinking about the time he beat up that guy from Tennessee.
Cortland Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan?
When he beat that snot off that boy.
Cortland Finnegan is one of the most dirtiest players I've ever seen the quarterback position. You know that, right?
I do. Every time I hear about Andre Johnson being a nice guy, I'm like, man, he beat the snot out that man, man. It literally, once he snapped the ball, that man started beating the snot out that man. He took the man's helmet off, punching him. I mean, my goodness. So,
and my guess is Finnegan deserved it. I mean, he's back with the dirty Tennessee Titans when Jeff Fisher was there.
Oh, he definitely deserved it. Because whatever he did, this wasn't the first quarter. He was doing this all game, and Andre Johnson said, enough is enough. I don't care where the ball is at. I don't care if it's coming my way or not. This is mid-play. Mid-play, these fools are just fighting. And it was just crazy. Anyway, last subject, or two more subjects, real. Would you have traded Josh Norman? The Panthers are the worst defense in the league when it comes to passing. They gave up 500 yards the other day to Matt Ryan, 300 to Julio Jones, and they couldn't stop anybody. Now, they let Josh Norman walk in the offseason. Josh Norman has shut down a few people this year. Now, he's had some issues, and we're going back and forth. He'd rather stay on one side, but that's, whatever they're doing in Washington. But would you have let Josh Norman walk? Not knowing what you know now, but would you have let him walk then? Because this has really turned their defense upside down.
I think that Josh Norman leaving was bad for both the Panthers and for Josh Norman, because I've watched Josh Norman on multiple occasions this season just to watch Washington's defense, because I thought Washington's defense was going to go far. Josh Norman is not the corner that everyone thinks he is. Josh Norman got destroyed by Antonio Brown. Just destroyed. Now, is he a situational corner where he won't go, he won't travel with the number one receiver? Yes, that's true, because he has a problem playing that left side. He has a problem turning his hips or seeing the field at a certain angle. He just can't move to that side, and players know that. So what they will do is they'll line their receivers, their star receivers up on the other side now. Or what Pittsburgh did, they would, go back and forth and run certain coverages his way, where he had to make the decision whether he should go to one to play one zone or the other. Now with the Panthers, their pass defense, you're right, is just horrendous.
It's trash. We can't
it's
give
trash.
up 500 yards just sitting here. We cannot give up 500 yards without somebody getting a sack, a fumble, a tackle in the backfield, offsides penalty, something.
But it doesn't start with just the secondary. It starts with the defensive line, with getting the pass rush, with zone coverage, or if you're playing man, with man coverage. It's not just with Josh Norman. It's something that's eternally wrong with their defense, that they're not getting the pass rush that they had last year, And it could be because Cam Newton is not playing well, because he's not. And they're putting their defense in bad positions where they're always on the field, So everything is coming downhill for Carolina. So to answer your question, yes, it was a bad trade for Josh Norman, and it was a bad trade for Carolina Panthers, or bad decision by the Carolina Panthers, and a bad decision by Josh Norman for letting him walk.
Um,
Dave?
Yeah, so I disagree. I think that it is the consequences of success in the league with salary cap. I like obviously they would love to keep Josh Norman, but he's making like 15 million a year, and the Panthers got a lot of guys. I think they want to keep. They want to keep the quarterback. They want to keep Kelvin Benjamin. I think they had an offensive lineman. They was critical to their success. Got the two linebackers, Kuechly,
Okay.
Thomas Davis. So they had to pay a lot of people, and someone had to go. Like the team that's a Super Bowl team on either side, they always end up getting rid of at least one person that you say, man, I wish we could have kept that guy. And I do think Josh Norman is like probably somewhere between the fourth to sixth best corner in the league right now. So, I mean, I think he is good. He's not as good as he thinks he is,
right.
but I do think he is a player. But and I think he would have limited Julio Jones. I think last year they played twice, and in one game he shut him down. The other game Julio went off for like 180 yards and like a touchdown, but it's not 300 yards.
Right.
And Carolina actually had a shot to win that game, late. So like maybe Josh Norman is the difference. But my opinion is, I'll probably make the same decision. I let him walk. But understand that there's consequences to the fact that when you let a guy as talented as that walk, it's going to hurt you. So that's my opinion on that. What do you think about Jarrell?
So I would have let him walk, but I would have tried to make sure I have a guy that obviously may not be better than him, but like right next to him. Because according to the Panthers, that's a system thing, right? Oh, our system is good, our system is fine. But it's proven not a system thing. But also, what hurt the Panthers is you have to understand every season is different. You can have a great defense with the same guys one year and a bad defense with the same guys this season. It doesn't really matter because every time offensive change, schemes change, people change, plays change. So you can't guarantee that, we get to the quarterback. This is what they relied on. We get to the quarterback so much we don't really need a back-end defense. But that's not true because you're not getting to the quarterback at all now. And like James said, they have so many times on defense now because the offense isn't clicking like it was last season. They're not sustaining drives. Cam is inconsistent. Benjamin's been in and out the lineup. They're not running the ball like they should be. So the defense is on the field more. So now they're sustainable to getting killed. And now they're getting killed. But I don't care who you have back there. You cannot give up 500 yards passing. Not an NFL team. You can't do it. You can't do it. Specifically when you went to the Super Bowl. That is just a bad look. I don't care what the situation is. Specifically when you give it to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not a top-tier quarterback in the sense of obviously the names that people want to say the Tom Brady's, the Drew Brees, the Aaron Rodgers of the world. He's not in that echelon. So I don't get how you give it up to him. And to mainly one guy, Julio Jones. Like they wouldn't even double team him. At one point they were guarding him at the line of scrimmage with a linebacker. Like they were doing the dumbest of things. Like I don't know if like Ron Rivera gave up. I don't know if he bet on the game and said, you know what, I need some money. Like it literally looked like a high school team was coaching out there. Because you have Julio Jones, the biggest guy on the field. He should be triple coverage. If you're going to give up passing yards, give it up to any other guy. You can't even name the tight end. Tight end got a couple of passes. Running back got a couple of passes. You have to spread the ball around to guys that you can tackle. They can't tackle Julio Jones. He's too fast and too big and too quick. It's just unacceptable. Just unacceptable.
So
Go ahead.
So I guess to me, more another question could be, should Carolina have franchise tagged them? Because they were going to tag him with the franchise.
Yep, and they pulled it away.
And then, but they were trying to sign him. But they ended up just saying, you know what, we're going to let you go. And he signs with Washington. So I guess for me, the real question is, should they have signed him as a franchise for one more year,
Yes.
just to hold on to them and get the extra year out of them, or should they have done what they've done and let them walk? Which is, and that to me, that's a little bit different, but I don't know.
They had a deal on the table and they pulled off of it. Reason you franchise tag somebody is because you got to the Super Bowl. You want to see if we can get one more year out of this and get to the Super Bowl and win it, right? That's what I would have done.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, obviously, I don't think they wanted to sign him long term. For whatever reason, they seen that they didn't want to financially do it, or they didn't think that he would be the great fit for them going forward. But you franchise tag him. It saves you money because you only got to pay him 1 year, and it kind of puts you in a situation where you can still look around the league and see what you want going forward. Oh, I like this guy over here. We like these guys over there. We see some guy coming up in the draft. We're going to try to get him. So I don't understand why they pulled that deal. I don't think he was in their long-term plans, but what is 1 year? What is 1 year? Specifically, when you go to the Super Bowl, don't want to change much of anything. I want to use that same formula. If I have to get some, if my running game isn't great, I want to improve that. But I want to keep my same formula together. When you take a big piece of your formula and let it walk away out the door, that means we don't want to win. To me, that says, we just get arrogant, we cocky, we can do it with just Cam. We can do it with just our offense. We can do it with just our front seven. You don't even value the truth that you need defense and you need passing. It's a passing league. It's a passing league. And you say, I'm going to let our best cornerback on our team just walk away. So I would have franchise tagged them, which I thought they did at first, and then they rescinded the offer.
Right. I guess that's the part I just didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That was a good conversation. David, you wanted to bring up a banking issue, and then I'll explain how I know some issues about that. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the issues I've been following. I watched the financial news. Just curious if people thought about the possibility that we could be in the midst of another big crash, kind of October surprise kind of thing, just like 8 years ago. Centers around a German bank called Deutsche Bank. I took a look at their balance sheet, and it's pretty bad. I think I heard one analyst say it's at the point now where either this bank, is going to get bailed out or bailed in, or the market's going to push it to bankruptcy. And it is one of those 30 too big to fail banks that's like got assets everywhere in the world, or every major country in the world, is connected to it in some large way or significant way. So that's something I'm following. I'm just curious what you guys think about the possibility that we could be in the midst of another crash and a Donald Trump presidency. So that's kind of my thoughts. Just kick it to James, see what you think about that.
Well, I haven't really been following the news apparently because I've been, running around doing everything. So this is like news to me about the German bank. But I do know about global economy and how it's on a decline. Certain aspects and how the banking system is pretty much set up to is on a failing a slope right now, and especially with a possibility of Donald Trump being president, it doesn't look good for the United States or even the global economy at this point. Because if the United States crashes, then a lot of industries around the globe crashes as well. And actually, it's funny. I've been talking to a buddy of mine, and I was telling him, like, I really don't like the United States, but for other reasons besides economical issues. But and it's a shame, but it's just how I feel about the United States as a whole. I really don't want to be here, And I'm trying to work on the resources for me not to be here. That makes sense. So, Jarrell, how do you feel?
So obviously we don't want to go through another recession, but I do believe that we will go through something very similar to that if your boy Trump does get the presidency. I don't think he will, though. A small part of me has a little faith in the United States people that we have more people with common sense than people who are racist and bigoted and stuff like that, who believe that a millionaire or billionaire, according to him, can save the middle class and people who are poor. That just doesn't make logical sense. But I'm hoping. But also, there's a part of me that says, since I moved to Atlanta, I've been able to travel to South Georgia and to Florida and stuff like that. And I see these people who support Trump and these people who support, the real America, or going back to times where segregation was real and where the 1% ruled everything more than what they do now. And they're okay with, people being killed in the street like dogs and African Americans being mistreated. They're okay with telling women what they can and cannot do with their bodies. They're okay with that. They think that is okay. And they don't want to go forward. They want to keep it the same. And they believe that's what the United States was supposed to be. So there's a small part of me that think we'll be okay. But, realistically, the fact that, like I said, Donald Trump has got so far that we only have, 30 days, 35 days? Yeah. We'll know the answer to this question. We'll know the answer to this question sooner or later. Does the United States have enough in it to say this won't happen? We said the same thing years ago when we thought George Bush wouldn't be president a second time. I literally said the same thing. Was like, no way this man has messed up 4 years. He lied. We all know the truth. Let's just not give him another chance. And obviously there was some cheating in the back end of it, but the fact that he even got close is ridiculous. And I think the fact that Donald Trump is even close is sad, but it shows you that a lot of the issues with the United States is not dead, they're alive and well. And a lot of these people who people thought would die off or older and stuff like that, they're just breeding a younger thought. And I didn't tell James this, but you called me earlier today and we talked, and I didn't want to tell you this, but today I walked in on a conversation. There were two young ladies at my job, and they were white. And they were talking about the N-word. And the white lady said she watched Luke Cage with her husband and her son. And her son started using the N-word all weekend. And her husband said it was okay to say it because everyone says it. And there's nothing wrong with saying the N-word. The mother's white. The father's Middle Eastern or something. He's not black, he's not Latino. And she was telling the other white lady, and the white lady was like, well, it just makes you uncomfortable. She's like, but, we've said other things before that are, uncomfortable. But, we didn't we don't want our son saying it. That's the part I walked in on. Then she went to proceed and asked me, do I watch the show Atlanta? I was like, well, I've seen a few episodes here and there. Well, I'm going to just sit down. I was just telling my husband when he watched it, because I was wanting to explain some of the black things. So it's a problem when people don't understand what racism is. It's a problem when people think it's okay to say racist thing, but think that it's not racist because, Donald Trump says it, it's in the news, it's in the media, it's, you don't get a pass for this. You don't get a pass for this. People have to live with this every day. Like, she's an oblivious white woman. She don't understand that I literally seen a cop the other day, and I'm driving dumb fast to get rid of this damn cop in my freaking back rear mirror. Like, what are you doing? Are you behind me? Are you not behind me? And he just switches lanes. And I'm like, what are you doing? I need to figure out what you're doing. Like, it's sad. So I need Trump out of here. So
I have a question.
Racists can go back to the closet.
How many racial slurs are there? A
racial
lot.
slurs for blacks or just people in general?
No. Just people in general. How many racial slurs are there?
So it's funny, right? So that's actually a good question. I honestly don't know because I don't really hang with a lot of racists, and I'm not racist. So it's the
Okay,
reason I say that is
so
because people who are racist and people who are bigoted and stuff like that, they know a whole bunch of ways to like piss people off who they think are less than whatever. But all I know is obviously cracker, nigga, spick or speck. What's spick is one, right?
yeah.
I think that's all I know. Yeah. Okay, keep going. That's all I know.
Okay. And out of all of these racial slurs that are out there, we, as a black community, have taken the name nigger and turned it into a term of endearment. I don't see any of these other races going around calling themselves, "Hey Mick," or "What's going on, Spick? Hey, how you doing, Spick?" The only people that do that, it's in songs, you know. And
Who controls the music
if
industry?
it of course,
So
white
that
people do, but that's neither here nor there. But even before it was in songs, we were still saying to one another,
right.
and we're the only people that do that. And I think it's actually a good thing because it actually turned that word into something that you should not, because fear of that word makes you ignorant to the fact of that word is overpowering you. And I support any black male woman in anything they do. But if you fear that word, then there's something wrong with you.
I don't feel the word. I feel like people, I don't have the time to explain to you why that is unacceptable. She's a parent. There's things, so there's things that when I'm with my niece who's 6 that I don't do. I don't watch certain things. I don't say certain things. I don't do certain things, right? Because I know I have to have a conversation. Right. Obviously, I don't think she's old enough to have that conversation. But when you tell a teenager that it's okay to say certain words when he or she does not know the power of that words, her child is going to go to school and say, "What up, my nigga," to somebody, or "That's a nigga." They're not going to know the power of that word. They don't understand how someone may take those words from that person. You see what I'm saying? So she's an adult. As a parent, you should say, "I don't want you saying that, but here's why." Because you say that because you heard it on a song. You say that you heard it in a movie. Because you don't understand the meaning behind the word, but you also don't understand how someone can take that word and take it as offensive. You look at these kids now. A lot of these teenagers don't know. A lot of these teenagers, you look at the teenagers who get kicked out of school from high schools and colleges who wear blackface and shit like that. They think that stuff is a joke. They seriously try to act like, "Oh, I didn't know it was racist." But they say things like, "What's up, my nigga?" Or they write stuff in the bathroom. Or they'll put something on. These it's because this is learned behavior. This is not something you wake up. I don't have a problem with racism. I don't have a problem with people who are, whatever your religion, whatever your sexual orientation. I don't care. So you don't hear me saying words like faggot. You don't hear me saying words like, you whatever Jew or whatever. I don't know whatever term you want to use. You don't hear me saying stuff like that because that's not me. But also I know the power of words. I know if I say that to someone can take offense to that. So that's just me. But when you tell your child that, and she's all in her right to say she wants to tell her child, "You're grown." But if your child gets his ass whooped tomorrow at church or at school, don't say nothing, because guess what? You said it was okay for him to say it.
See, it is funny because I actually had to deal with this issue recently because my stepson he takes the bus and to school, and the little girl who's Spanish in front of him called him a nigger on the bus. She said, "That's why you're a nigger," and he felt offended by it, which he should, because I taught him that some of these words are offensive. Did the right thing. He told the teacher. Okay, and I had to talk to the teacher, and basically the little girl got in trouble. And the fact that this little girl knows this word at 8 years old,
right?
It means there's something wrong with the parents,
right?
But what I'm saying is that and us as a black community, we either have to make this word, you know, a negative word altogether or a positive word altogether. See, we use it in between. We use it where we see fit, where where it's beneficial to us.
I agree.
You can't do that because no other race does that but us. And me, I choose to see it in a positive light because I'm not going to let any word break me down. I'm not going to let any word, hurt me. You know what I mean? Because I know the real meaning of the word. The real meaning of the word is an ignorant person, and that's far from me. It actually comes from the Spanish word negro, which means black, which was the Spanish word of what they had used to identify us.
An ignorant person has nothing to do with race. It has something to do with action.
Exactly. So why can't that word be used for anybody? You can call a white person a nigger.
So for me, when I hear that word, first of all, it's one of the things. Even growing up, I never liked saying it. But so it's something that really wasn't a part of my vocabulary. And when you join the military, the first thing they tell you is all racial slurs are banned. And black people can't say that word to other black people while you're on duty. White people can't say it. No one can say that word, and it's not just restricted to that word. All racial slurs, all words that could be, termed could be, thought of as offensive, are banned. Period. In the workplace and in any environment where, that basically could be learned of or caught or whatnot. So yeah, that's always been my case ever since. I just like Darrell said, just strip all bad words from your vocabulary.
Right.
It's going to save you a lot of headache in your work and just your personal life, just in general. So that's kind of been always my philosophy on it. And it's I guess sad to hear that other people aren't preaching that same philosophy. But unfortunately, that's life.
Right. I got a great movie, am I right, about something similar to that. One day I already have a synopsis for it. It's very interesting. I think we can't pass this situation on to our children. There's so much going on. I just don't think our children should live in that type of society. Keep going.
So I have a question. So for David, what do you think the solution should be? Do you think we should just say, hey, you know what? We should all just stop using that word. This is.
In a free society, well, here's the thing. In a free society, you're never going to have, or something as, when it comes to something as, I guess, non-lethal as a insult, you're never going to get a population to, not say a word because someone, will always do it. It's like a fist fight or something. You can never get a population of 320 million, not to get in fist fights. It's going to happen. So people are going to say it, no matter what. But me personally, is my opinion where I just don't use the word. That's just my personal preference of it. That's what I would teach my kids. I would just say, hey, look, I don't use this word. I got no use for it. My vocabulary is larger than that. And I don't use any racial slurs or any put me downs to any group of people. If I got a problem with someone, I have a specific problem with them over a specific issue. So I can only really control myself on that issue, and teach. If I ever hopefully I can have kids with my kids, what I think about it. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion, which is it's something that probably will always be there just because it's a non-lethal form of, attack, so that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's what I agree with, but for me, I don't use those words because I've never felt that way. I've never felt like And I have friends of all walks and lives, and I have obviously I work on a college campus, so I meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds, from different races, ethnicities, religions, sexual orientations. Like I don't care. People are people. I like genuine people anyway. People who are cool. People who are different. I don't want to be in groupthink. I don't want to see everybody who just looks like me and walks like me and talk like me and just believe in everything. I don't like yes people. I want people that I can disagree with. I can still be cool with. People have different backgrounds who got to their place in life differently than I got to my place in life.
Right.
Because we can all learn from each other. Like literally, I literally pick my friends' brains. Like, how did you get here? Like, how did this happen? Why do you do this? And like, I would be like, I would never be that. I don't have the courage to do that. Like a lot of stuff, people who live like alternative lifestyles in the sense of like, I seen somebody with a whole bunch of tattoos, and you would never look at them like, you'd be like, oh, that person's dumb cool, but they just have a whole bunch. They just have an infatuation with tattoos. It's a normal person, just like he just loves tattoos, and he ended up being a great guy. I'm like, oh, what's up, man? Because a lot of people would think, oh, he's a gangster, he's a thug, and it's a normal business guy. Dude has a full-time job, wife, kid. He's like, I just like tattoos. I'm like, and he talks normal. Like I'm like, you would not know, but people judge him because he looks differently. I like people like that. I like people who are different. So, anyway, that was a great episode. A little longer than usual, but that was good. So we'll see you all next week.